All right, welcome. We're going to look at Khan Academy. We're in Algebra 1. We are looking in the unit called Quadratics Multiplying and Factoring. And the first skill set there is Polynomials Intro. This first question asks, which polynomials are in standard form? Okay, so a couple things you need to know. What is a polynomial? A polynomial is a sum of monomials So what is a monomial? Mono means one, poly means many. So a monomial is an expression, a mathematical expression. It's a product of a constant. So there'll be a constant like 3, for example, so this is just an example, times any number of variables. So we could have x times y to the 4th. This is an example of a polynomial that is specifically a monomial because it has one product. It's the product of these factors, 3x and y to the 4th. So here's a monomial. Here is another monomial. 2y to the 3rd is a monomial. It's got a constant. It's got one variable raised to the 3rd power. Okay, so they're asking us to put polynomials in standard form. So let me give you an example of a polynomial. A polynomial would be something like 5x squared minus 2x plus 1. This is a polynomial because it's made of one monomial, a second monomial, and a third monomial. So the first monomial is 5x squared, the second one is negative 2x, the third one is 1. Now, 1 is a monomial too, even though it doesn't have a variable written. We could have written x to the 0. X to the 0 is 1. X divided by x is 1. So we could have written it that way. We didn't. That's okay. So a constant is also a monomial. Now, this polynomial made of 3 monomials is in standard form because I've ordered them from left to right with the highest index on our exponent on our variable. The highest exponent is first, and so it goes 2 and then 1 and then 0 for our exponents. So here's another example in standard form of a polynomial. How about 6x to the 4th plus x minus 3. Okay, so we've got 3 monomials again. So 6x to the 4th is the first one, x is the second one, and negative 3 is the third monomial. This is in standard form because the exponents descend from 4 to 1 to 0. Notice we skipped 3 and 2. It's fine. They just have to descend. Whichever exponents there are, you put the largest one first, next largest second, and so on. So now we should be able to answer this question. They say choose all the answers that apply. That is, in each case we're asking ourselves which of these polynomials are in standard form. This first one, 5, has no variable, so that variable would be raised to the 0 power, so it would be 5x to the 0 minus 5x to the first. Well, 0 is less than 1, so this is not okay. No. This one, x to the 4th, is greater than x to the 2nd, is greater than x to the 0, so that's okay. We can pick B. And then we'll come down here, x to the 3rd is less than x to the 4th, so that's not okay. And of course, since B is correct, we're not going to pick none of the above. And we're done with that one. Let's look at the next. What is the degree of the polynomial? Now they're asking us a new question. So we need to talk about what degree is. The degree of a polynomial is the sum of the exponents on the greatest term. So the first term, if you write it in standard form, is going to have the highest exponents. So in this case, this is x to the first times y to the fourth. The degree would be 1 plus 4 is 5. This monomial, y to the third, the 3 is the only exponent, so the degree is 3. This one, our highest exponent is 2, so the degree is 2. And on this one, our highest exponent is 4, so the degree is 4. So this has only one variable, so we look for the highest exponent, which is 5, and that's our degree. Next question, pick the expression that matches this description. A polynomial of the 5th degree with a leading coefficient of 7 and a constant term of 6. Okay, so there's a couple new terms in here. Degree we just talked about, so we're going to look for a 5th degree polynomial. We can look through here and we see this one has 7 for the highest exponent, so A is not correct because that's a 7th degree polynomial. This is a 5th degree polynomial. This is a 5th degree polynomial. And the last one is a 6th degree polynomial. So that's not okay. We won't pick D. Now, we're going to look at the next term, coefficient. Coefficient is a fancy word that is saying what is the constant that's being multiplied by something, by some variable. So a coefficient, for example, 3 is the coefficient on x times y to the fourth. 2 is the coefficient on y to the third. 5 is the coefficient on x squared. Negative 2 is the coefficient on x. 6 is the coefficient on x to the fourth. And 1 is the coefficient on x. We don't write the 1 because if there's only one of something, we don't have to write it. If there's any other number than 1, we're going to write it. Now, notice I didn't say that 1 or negative 3 are coefficients. That's because they're not being multiplied by a variable. So that makes those constant. They don't change as x changes. They stay what they are. 1 stays 1, negative 3 stays negative 3. Those are constant terms. So we go back to here. Our possible answers are these two because they're 5th degree polynomials. The coefficient, the leading coefficient means when you put these in standard form, the first coefficient, that is the coefficient on the first term with the highest exponent, that's your leading coefficient. So in this case, 6 is the leading coefficient, and in this case, 7 is the leading coefficient. So C is the right answer, we know already, but just to confirm, the last bit of information says the constant is 6. Well, here's the constant, and it's 6. It's the constant because it's not changing as x changes. So we know our answer now is C. And we're done.